All right, Zalek Kinski with the circuit, kicking off a new series that we're starting called the Circuit Wire. We're going to be recapping different events. The first event is the Circuit League 1, the event that we just got done running. We're joined here by my co-host Alex Karamenos and Brandon Jenkins from 247 Sports, who was in the house at our event, and we're super happy to have him here. So appreciate both of you guys being here, and excited for the first episode.
It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk some basketball.
All right, guys, we're gonna lead off. We'll jump right into it. One of the teams that went 4-0 this weekend was Beast Up, a local team that I know you're really familiar with, Brandon. Zuby Ejiofor was named MVP of our event. Brandon, I'll let you kind of touch on what type of player Zuby is, but he averaged 16 and 11 for the event, and his numbers would have been a lot higher if he wasn't sitting for the majority of the last game as they got their backups in play. But had a huge game against the Knight Riders. Really stood out inside. He's our MVP of the event, and would love to hear you touch a little on him.
For sure. I mean, I was really that was a game that I had circled, kind of on my schedule when y'all released the schedule for like 3 days prior. I was really interested in seeing how Zuby would fare just against the front court of the Knight Riders and what they had to offer, and it was just very surprising how he stepped up and played hard. And I think the biggest thing that stood out to me was his touch from behind the three-point arc. He really had his shot falling that day. He was aggressive on the boards. He outworked all the front court members. I was really looking at his matchup with Malik Renault. I think Malik he did decently, but Zuby was just on another level. And he was just a monster. And he was the real reason why they came up with the win. So I think he was definitely deserving of that MVP award.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was a little bit of a trap game for the Knight Riders too, as they had Mocan later that day, and they capitalized. You're right with the 3-pointers. I think he had a couple that he shot that didn't count too. One because of a screen, and but yeah, he the rebounding numbers and the efficiency. I think he was 11 for 16 against the Knight Riders was super impressive, and that's a huge win for an independent program. There's a lot of independent programs in Texas, and another one in California that we'll transition into here with our offensive player of the session was Osiah Sellers, and I know you guys can touch on what you saw from him too, but he had 4 really, really good games, including a win over Mocan, and he's 6'5", athletic, combo guard, rebounded pretty well. Really got out in transition well with his teammates, and kind of guided the offense. But his ability to lock down defensively, what they did, to slow down Mocan's offense was really impressive.
Yeah, for me with Sellers, when the game wasn't being played fast and slowed down a little bit, and they got into the half court, I loved his patience. He took good shots, made good passes, did everything right the whole entire event.
And absolutely, I think he was like one of the breakout players for me, just because I didn't know anything about him coming in, and I saw him and I saw what his recruitment was looking like, and I expected to pick up if he keeps up this level of play for the rest of the spring and the summer seasons. He has one high major offer from TCU, and I think he should be able to collect some more just with his play's ability to make shots, defend, and be aggressive.
Yeah, team just played really well together. Their team Arsenal from California is the team that Sellers plays for, and he's coached by him and Jalen Thompson, who we'll talk about in a bit here, are coached by Julius V from SCA Prep in Los Angeles, and that they clearly you can see the coaching coming through as a ton of value for him on the court, because both of them were super efficient. I'm going to jump ahead just because I feel like these two guys were interchangeable as far as the awards we could have given. And I think, is probably the last decision that was made, is the breakout player of the session, which we have as CJ Luster from Max Levels Elite. He was making shots at a really high clip, averaged 21 points for the session. And Max Levels won 3 games, and kind of established themselves, I feel like, as one of the top teams in in Texas. I know you might be more familiar with him, Brandon, because he's in your backyard. But yeah, his ability to make shots and make plays was, consistent. Every time I, watched a game and you looked at the stat sheet after, it was, you know, could easily be the offensive player of the session, just as Ozai could easily be the, breakout player of the session.
Absolutely. And I didn't really even get a chance to, to focus in on CJ, but like just knowing what he brings to the table in terms of his length and his ability to make shots, it doesn't surprise me. He's very productive. And it'll be interesting to see who jumps in and who's the first one to extend him an offer. I mean, I definitely think he's worth one, given his play. And I think he's a consistent level player to where he can have more performances like this down the road.
Yeah, the biggest thing with me with Luster, like Brandon just said, is his consistency. He brings it every game. And like Brandon said as well, at a high level, he's defending hard on the other end. He's getting out and leading the break, making good decisions.
Yeah, and I was talking to the coaching staff, and they said, what's a drawback on CJ? And they said, well, it's not really a drawback. We just don't see it very much. Is kind of toughness inside and being able to absorb contact and attack the basket. And he did plenty of that this weekend too. So he was making shots at a high level, and his ability to kind of do everything was impressive for me. A defensive player of the session was from Drive Nation Houston. I think he could have easily been a breakout player of the session too, but what he did defensively was, kind of on another level. I took in a whole game that they played against Mebo. But Zion Oblana was, a real big difference maker. They probably should have gone 4-0. They lost on a half-court buzzer beater, to Mebo, but Zion was a big reason why. He put up big offensive numbers, 21 and 10. And, a lot of those, coming on the defensive boards. But I think what was staggering was Drive Nation Houston's, keeping their advanced statistics and sending them to us. He took, he averaged 4.5 charges per game, charges taken per game, which means he's playing rotational defense. He's helping his teammates. He's 6'7", he's huge, big muscular body, long arms. I mean, you look at him, you're like, oh, this kid, looks like he could help a lot of low mid-major programs immediately. And seeing the production against, like competition that was placed in front of him was, that's got to be appealing to a lot of local coaches for sure. Guys, moving on. Alex, I know we talked about Jalen Martin as he made his way over to the Knight Riders for his first session, but he, their third game, he put together what we consider to be the performance of the session.
Yeah, the performance of the session coming from Jalen Martin. I think he joined the Knight Riders not even a week ago, maybe just a week, and he came in with their third game of the day, our showcase game, Knight Riders versus Mocan, and he put on a show. Had 30 points, was getting to his spots, and he never did too much. I like the way he was using his spin move a lot of the time. He would get downhill, get guys on their heels, and then just hit them with that spin move and get right to the rim. He's got a consistent jump shot. He displayed that as well. And I think this can go for all that Knight Riders team. They are dogs on defense. They get after it the whole game, and they never let up. And I just loved his effort the whole time. Throughout every game that I watched him play, his effort was amazing.
Yeah, and that kind of transitions into why the Knight Riders beat Mocan. I think they kind of were relentless with their effort. That was the best game of the weekend. Also, our game of the, kind of game of the event heading into it was Knight Riders Mocan. Knight Riders beat them on a buzzer beater by Jay-Zine Gortman, who also tied the game at the buzzer at the end of the regulation time. I mean, really, altogether, really good performance by kind of two newcomers to the Knight Riders, Gortman, who was playing his second event, and Jalen Martin, who came over from the Showtime Ballers. So, yeah, I think, I think it's a mixture between not being on the scouting report and him being, a lot better than I think people realize. Best finish, that could, there's a lot of games ended, kind of in wild fashion. But one of them was Mebo and Drive Nation Houston, as I mentioned before. George Marshall will have, video of this if you want to check it out online, but took George Marshall, took a ball kind of in stride and got to his spot and launched a three. And, he said it felt like it was good as soon as he launched it and had a good angle of it. And I was like, wow, that's got a great shot of going in. His ability to get to his spot on the, on the final play of that game was impressive. So we'll transition into the reason why the Night Riders won that game. Jay-Z and Gortman. He was everywhere, kind of on both ends. And Brandon, I know this is one of your first introductions to him, as myself outside of the video I had seen. Take us through what you saw from Gortman, especially in that Mocan game.
For sure. No, he was definitely a name that I was excited to see in person, just because, obviously, seeing the ESPN rankings drop out, like seeing him considered the top 20 player, you just want to, make sure okay, what do they see versus what do we see, and like, how can we go about it? And so, I go in and I check him out, and the first thing that stands out is just his blazing quickness, amazing speed. I mean, like that is probably the fastest and quickest dude that I've seen in high school basketball. His intensity on defense and like what he's able to do athletically in that stature. He's only 6'1" and like 150 pounds soaking wet. And he just gets after it. He's intense. I had a colleague tell me that he reminds me of a skinnier version of Eric Bledsoe. I definitely can see it just from the ways that, you don't want him to be like the full-time point guard at all times, because it kind of takes away from what he does off the ball, because he's special with that as well. And he's just a winner, and he's a gamer. And I think we all saw that at the end of regulation when he hit the floater, and then obviously at the end of overtime when he hit that clutch three to obviously win the game when they were down 2. He's a dog, and obviously I think he needs to be heavily recruited, and he is justified of his status as like one of the better point guards in the country.
Yeah, I think defensively is was what stuck out for me. He is just kind of relentless on the ball, and he had a steal and dunk at the end of regulation that I think kind of turned the momentum. So yeah, really impressive performance. We kind of already touched on it before, but Alex Oziah Sellers was kind of on a doing his own. He was in his own. He's kind of in his own offensive rhythm from the outset, and his performance against, I think he had 30. How many did he have? They had 33 against Louisiana Elite. I know you took in a little bit of that. Just talk about Sellers' offensive game a little bit.
Yeah, like I touched on a little bit earlier. He likes to get out and run. He likes the fast pace, but like I said earlier, when he slowed the game down, his ability to slow the game down, get good shots for himself and for his guys, that's what really stood out to me. I loved when he would play in the pick and roll play. He would get guys on his hip. He would get them in bad positions, get foul called. He hit his free throws throughout the whole weekend. Yeah, he went for 23 against.
I think he only missed one free throw all weekend.
Yeah.
Efficient at the line too.
Yeah, he went for 23 against the Night Riders, 19 against the Houston Superstars, and then
they had that game too.
Yep, and then his big performance, he went for 33 against Louisiana Elite and added 4 boards. So yeah, he really impressed me.
Next 2 guys on the first team are guys we already touched on, Zuby and CJ Luster. And Zion Oblana is also named on the first team. Rounding out the list is Angel Johnson from the Houston Scholars. I think they're one of the surprises of the event. They're actually down 2 of their core players. And I know, I believe our friend at OTR Exposure, Marcus Sloan, has them ranked fairly highly in the city as far as 17U goes. And yeah, they impressed. They went 4-0. And Angel Johnson was a contender for our defensive player of the session as well. He averaged 4 steals a game. Those type of, consistent statistics in 4 games, were really impressive. I think he averaged 16 points and 4 rebounds too. So, really good performance from the Scholars. I'm excited to have them back for session 2, and they kind of played well as a unit, and they were being down, I think, makes it a little more impressive. back to Team Arsenal, big guy for them, 2022 product, Jalen Thompson, obviously sat out the year because of COVID, and this is the first time we had seen him in a while. Alex, I know you know when you were kind of recapping the day, you were just as impressed with Thompson as you were with Sellers.
Yeah, absolutely. Those two together are a great tandem. Thompson, he ended the first session with averaging 15 points per game, 6 rebounds as well. He also had a great performance against the Knight Riders in their first game. He went for 16 points, 16 rebounds, and his big performance was in their fourth game, where he had 23 and 6 against a very good Mocan team. He's six. He stands 6'6", 6'7". You know, he's got the ability to shoot over guys. 3-level scorer. That's what I see. You know, he can hit shots from the outside. He can score in the mid-range area, and then he can go hard to the rim. I was really impressed with when he would post up smaller guys guarding him. You know, he made great moves in the post and great decisions out of the post. I thought he was a great passer. And
Well,
yeah,
he did that, and then I think Mocan switched on him, and he was showing the ability to score against Reed and Akbar inside, and Mocan has some giants in there. So I think his ability to score, I think, against all defensive types was impressive. We kind of got a string of Dallas kids here, Brandon. First one being Noah Shelby, plays for Oklahoma-based Team Trae Young team, but they went 3-0. I know you're familiar. Talk a little about what you saw from Noah.
Definitely. I think the biggest thing that stands out is just from his year-to-year growth, from him being a freshman that it's in the same marks to now him being a junior who's coming to his own at Green Hill. And, he's proven this all this summer with Trae Young. He's definitely starting with the ball in his hands. He's making the right reads. The one thing that he's always been able to do is shoot. He's just shooting at a high clip. If he's open, you think his money is going through the net. You might as well the other team might as well just get it out the net and just start just bring the ball down the court. I mean, like Noah Shelby was arguably the better shooter, one of the better shooters that I've seen all weekend. And, just his consistency and maturity in his approach in his game is evident, and the work that he puts in is evident. So definitely a high-level player.
I was, I think it's a great place to start when you're kind of already an elite shooter, right? And you've proven that. And now he's, being able to be on the ball and create his own shot and use that to create other, pieces of his offense, I think has been super impressive. The next guy on our second team is TJ Caldwell of Drive Nation, also winner of the dunk of the session, which we will have posted on Twitter. He is right in your backyard for high school as well, Brandon. Talk about kind of what TJ Caldwell brings to the table outside of, obviously he's a super athlete, right? But, kind of what intangibles he brings to the table.
For sure. Well, definitely like his athleticism is the foundation for why he is who he is. Of course, just the gifts that he has, you can't teach. But like I think he's starting to make strides on learning how to just become more of a complete guard on the basketball end. He has to continue to work on, like his left hand and being able to make open shots on a consistent basis. But at the same time, he's intense. He guards. He gets out on the open floor. He's exciting. There's a lot of stuff for college coaches to work with. His upside is pretty tremendous. And so I was really impressed with the plays that he was able to make because he can do a lot of things that just normal kids his age can't do. So it was pretty cool.
I think that's just a translatable skill, quite honestly, being able to get on the break, use your athleticism and create plays on both, kind of on both sides of the ball. He doesn't need the ball in his hands to be effective, but yeah, like you said, he, 500 jumpers a day, right? And being able to use his athleticism on his lift, like he should have his, I think before long, we're looking at a much improved 3-point shooter. Next up's Jacoby Walter. He's an underclassman playing up for Team Trae Young. Had a terrific weekend, averaged 17 and 6, 17.6 rebounds, and Noah averaged 17.6 assists. So, kind of equal production. Talk about what you saw from Jacoby.
Absolutely. So, like, he's a guy that we've been high on ever since we started our 2023 rankings. And he kind of proved that with his play this weekend. Obviously, he can shoot the ball really, really well. He's strong with it. And I think what Trae Young has been able to allow him to do is put the ball in his hands and let him be able to lead and create, which is something that he's always needed to improve on, just the strength within his ball handling. And I think he's making strides in that area. He looked really good this week with his ability just to get to his spots and get comfortable looks at the basket. And I think the scary thing about it is you won't be able to realize like how much him playing up means until he gets on the 17U level as a senior and like he's able to showcase how productive he truly can be, because at the same time he's still deferring to upperclassmen. So really impressed with his performance playing up. He's a really good shooter, a really high level player who tracks to be a high major player.
Yeah, I think there's times where you watch players and they put up a shot and you're like, God, that's a terrible shot. What? That's not in the flow of the offense. Like, what are they doing taking that shot? Jacoby has a lot of shots where it's not a bad shot. It's a tough shot. Thinking to myself, I'm like, man, that's a tough shot. If he makes that, like, he does it within the rhythm of his, he's of his own offensive game, and I think it's super impressive, his shot making ability, where it's like he makes tough shots and he rarely hits the rim. I think that's noticeable in his highlights or just watching him live. Next up, Percy Daniels for Louisiana Elite. I thought he was one of the arguably the best kind of big at the event. Average 17 and 13. Really was effective for Louisiana Elite. I know this might have been one of your first time seeing him live. I saw him last year as well, or I guess 2 years ago as well. But Brandon, talk a little bit about what you saw from Percy Daniels of Louisiana Elite.
Yeah, I mean, I heard the name. I've been hearing the name for about a year and a half now. But like, obviously, if you checked his profiles before this weekend, if you checked his profiles, you wouldn't be able to see a picture on him. Maybe Rivals had a picture on him, whatnot. But I was really interested in seeing him play, and I didn't even think that he would be at the event. I didn't know Louisiana Elite was playing at the event. So when I saw them, I saw the big lights skin. Obviously, he's intriguing with his body type and how tall he is with the size and whatnot. So I got a chance to zero in and watch his game against Drive Nation. And I was like, man, his upside is ridiculous. He has a good foundational build just to add skill once he gets to the high major level, which he will be recruited at. He still has ways to improve, obviously, like his foot speed, his footwork, but he has early signs of touch, early signs of like just being comfortable with his back to the basket. And he's intriguing. Plays hard enough. He hits the glass. I mean, he's definitely one to track going down the road. Obviously, him being a big and him showing that he loves to play just goes a long way. So I was really impressed with what he was able to bring to the table this weekend for Louisiana Elite.
Yeah, for sure. My man likes the pump fake. Yeah, he had some moves inside that were super impressive. Much like Oblana for Drive Nation Houston, Jalen Johnson, really stood out. Averaged nearly 20 points, 8 assists a game. They went 3-1 again. They lost on a buzzer beater to Mebo, heartbreaker away from being undefeated for the session. And Drive Nation Houston team, I believe, only has 3 losses on the season and 20 plus wins. So they're looking for the competition. They got some this weekend, and to see that translate, I think, especially for I think Jalen's 5'10", kind of a smaller guard, but can clearly help a lot of college programs in the area, and should have definitely opened some eyeballs there. Next up, we got Robert Viola of Team Arsenal, and I think he impressed all of us, especially in the game against MoCam. But he's a unsigned senior, 2021. Young for his grade, and he's definitely coming off a really strong weekend. And your first introduction to him, Brandon, what'd you think?
I'm just finding out now that he's an unsigned senior. I thought he was a 2022. But it explains a lot just with his mentality, because he wasn't backing down from anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, like, whether it be the MoCan game or the Night Riders game, I mean, like, he wasn't backing down. He shows early signs of touch. He doesn't mind playing physical. I mean, he played hard. And definitely, like, he's a Division I caliber player. If you need somebody to run your offense, do it big. I mean, like, that's the guy that you go after. So, I mean, somebody, obviously the transfer portal is hot, but if he's an unsigned senior, I mean, like, come on, let's go.
Yeah, I think he's a potential reclass because of COVID and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, this is a type of statement weekend, which is the reason a lot of grassroots operators let some unsigned seniors play in the event. Kyron Lindsay's next up. I've been impressed with him since the since Buff's event to open the season with max levels, but he's just kind of a smooth operator at 6'7". Probably going to get bigger. Has the body of a D1 player. Kind of, I think he favors his pull up a little bit too much if he's listening. Watching him be aggressive in some of the games, it was a little eye opening where, if he adds that to his game, I'm a big fan of Lindsey, but, Brandon, I know you've seen him play quite a bit. Yeah, just touch on, what you saw from him.
Obviously, like the girth in his frame. He has a strong frame, but he also has touch. And I agree with you. I think he needs to use his body a little bit more. Kind of diversify his game. He has nice touch from the mid range, though. I didn't get a chance to see him as much as I wanted to this weekend, but from all the words that I've been hearing from different people around him, different people who've seen Max Levels elite, I mean, he's been on it. So he just needs to stay consistent and work his way inside and then out, and then he'll gain all that. He'll gain all his advances. So I'm glad that he played well. Glad to hear that he played well.
Yeah, he played real well, and I think he's already proven he can hit the mid range. I think so. That's that would be my only knock is like, hey, a couple times take that and go hard to the rim, and yeah, that's if that's a question mark about him. Next up, Adrame Jiang from Belmont Shore, Compass Preps big man. He was impressive for Belmont Shore. Even 7 foot, averaged 15 points per game over Belmont's 3 games, and really was just kind of a force down low, really good hands. I know he hasn't been playing basketball for that long, but yeah, Alex, talk a little bit about Adrame, what you saw from him, especially in the matchup against the guy we're going to talk about next, Lee Dort.
Yeah, so Adrame finished the first session averaging 15 points per game. Like you said, Alec, he has really, really good hands. He gets up and down the floor. I believe that he's only started to play basketball. I think he told me and you, Alec, like a year and a half ago. Mm-hmm. So for him to have the skill set that he has now, only playing a year and a half of organized basketball, is tremendous. He's definitely got to put some weight on. He needs to gain some muscle, but his skill set with the body that he has now is very good. He can finish with either hand. He's got the ability to face up in the post that we didn't really get a lot to see from him during Compass. He was a lot of back towards the basket kind of a guy. But the games that I watched him play, he was facing up and using his jab step to get right to the rim. And I know I talked about free throws before, but for a big standing at 7'1", he knocks down his free throws when he gets to the line.
I think he's got a lot of advantages that take place when you start playing late because he doesn't fall into tendencies and he doesn't favor a hand. So like his ability to finish with both hands was impressive. He's catching with both hands. He had a left-handed skip pass that he threw with one hand. I'm like, oh, you just don't see big men make those type of passes. So was with Dinos and Belmont Shore, and they look pretty good. Lee Dort was his best matchup. Lee averaged a double-double. Another Team Trae Young product going to Vanderbilt with Noah. The only thing holding, I think, Lee back from being a bigger force than he already is just being in better shape. Once he and that's something college is going to help with, and that's as they play this summer, he's going to get in better shape, right? There wasn't much basketball played this winter, and I've I think gotten 10 games in so far, 9 or 10 games where they're playing really good basketball, and if he can stay on the court, that's the only thing that he plays really sound defense. Plays pick and roll defense really well, works in the pick and roll really well with Noah, and when he's in the trenches, I think he doesn't really stop moving. So it's if that conditioning is the only thing that's holding him back, and I think that's something that's going to be a non-issue soon. Last up is Terrace Reed. I think Terrace was bound for this list as soon as you see Terrace Reed now. Just looks in a lot, looks like a completely different human being almost, being able to run the floor, and he had a little bit of trouble catching the ball early, but I think he addressed that and really showcased his ability to score around the rim and affect the game. So especially how he played alongside Felix Akpara, another 7-footer. Alex, what'd you see from the Chaminade product?
Yeah, Terrace Reed, he looks in great shape. He's lost 30 to 40 pounds, honestly. He's moving well up and down the court. His footwork looked great. They had the matchup with Knight Riders, he went for 15 points against them. Malik Renault guarding him. He had a great move against Malik, up and under. He uses the pump fake well. But what really stood out to me the most is, like I said in the beginning of the statement, is how much better shape he is in, and it just shows how much of a better player he is now. He can be on the floor longer, and with Mocan having him on the floor longer, that just makes them that much better.
Yeah, and Mocan's showcase the ability to develop big men, and I think playing alongside Akbar is only making him better. Last up is George Marshall from Mevo. Hit the winner, had 4 really strong games. Was consistent, showcased the ability to score. He was shooting well. I was really impressed with Marshall, and Kevion Hunt's in that backcourt too. He was impressive. Severian Grant was also impressive in a couple games where they each kind of tried to find their offense, and they like to play at a pretty fast pace, and it was nice to see the Mevo guards kind of get to do their thing. Moving on, we're gonna move a little bit to the guys that didn't make it, and kind of pick the I guess your favorite 2. Brandon, you were quick to point out Willie Lightfoot as a guy that impressed you. Buffalo, New York native, playing for Sunrise Christian now, been on Mocan Elite for a couple of years, and clearly looked comfortable in his opening 4 games for him.
For sure. I think his experiences in high school will go a long way to, how he is as a college basketball player. You're playing behind Kennedy Chandler, playing behind other talented point guards like that, but able to step in and be a spark plug, bring energy off the bench, be able to score on command, make plays for others, and then also have the lateral quickness and the intensity on defense just to, guard your man. And even when he does get scored on, his body language, it's just something that I can vibe with. He's always out here to compete to win. And I definitely think he is mature enough to when, he does go through a learning curve when he gets to the next level in college. I mean, he'll be able to, fight through adversity and be able to be a successful college basketball player just through all of his experiences in high school ranks. So, he's definitely a player that stood out to me.
He communicates too. This coaching staff is playing really well. He's super vocal, and Rodney Perry's Mocan's coach, and he's one of the best EYBL coaches to do it. And he was coaching both 16s and 17s this week. And I know he loves the spark, like you said, that Willie brings off the bench. Another guy on Mocan it stuck out was Aiden Shaw for you, Alex. Blue Valley product, been with Mocan a couple of years, pretty highly ranked, I think, in your guys' rankings, Brandon, especially in the small forward position. Talk about Aiden a little bit, Alex.
Yeah, I've been keeping up with Aiden throughout his high school season and coming into grassroots season now. Standing about 6'8", 6'9", can play the 4, can honestly play the 3, can guard multiple positions as well. The thing that stuck out to me about Aiden the most from this past weekend is his abilities to rebound the ball. He gets up real high and then he goes and grabs rebounds, looks for his guards right away, and then gets on the break, or he has the ability to bring the ball up himself. Made a lot of corner threes this weekend, showing a lot of improvements in his jump shot. I think if he improves his ball handling a little bit and decision making, then the sky's the limit for him.
Yeah, I think he just needs to clean up, kind of all the little things he does, because he's not going to be, at least, in a lot of offensive sets for Mocan, kind of the primary guy where being able to hit the corner 3 and be active on the offensive boards. He was impressive. Guy that stuck out for me was Cornelius Williams from Mevo, 6'10" junior. Average a double-double. Every time I looked over at Mevo's court, it seemed like he was, grabbing a rebound or, disrupting a shot inside. And he, I think he opened the eyes of, several of the fans with some of his blocks and dunks. And, he hit his head really hard on the court at one point where, we were a little worried for him. But, yeah, he recouped, and his ability to impact shots inside was super impressive. Moving down, Dorian Finister, Alex. I know we're both big fans of him, but he was consistent throughout. I think he had 25 versus Team Trae Young, which is a difficult backcourt. 15 against Beast Up, which is another difficult backcourt. Talk a little bit about the Louisiana product.
Yeah, taller guard, standing at about 6'5". He just doesn't stop. He had a couple big time dunks this past weekend as well that really caught my eye. His ability to shoot the ball very well, whether it's off the dribble or off the catch, makes him hard to guard on the perimeter. And he plays very downhill as well. I like when he gets downhill and he starts attacking the rim. Saw a lot of dump off passes when he would attract the big to him, attacking the rim. He's just a really good decision maker. And yeah, like you said, I'm very high on Dorian Sinister.
Yeah, I think he could help a lot of different programs fill a need. A guy that's going to be being high on a lot of rankings lists next up, Amir Ali for TRT Academy. I think we all like him. Big guard already, has ball skills that are super advanced, and as a 2024 playing 17U is definitely a challenge. But Brandon, I know you were eager to see him as 2024 rankings are in tow. So what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the 2024 class in Texas, and I think y'all would all agree with this. Yeah, I think
class is ridiculous in Texas.
I think he, there's 3 to 4 names that, are all competing for that top spot in Texas. And, he'll be one of them. And the case for him is just his unbelievable upside. To be that size, be able to handle the ball, and just to have that early stages of like feel and be able to play with older players and just getting the gist, just of how the game is going to be for the next 2 years. I think he has an advantage over all those other guys. And I think his upside just is off the charts. He'll be one definitely to monitor down the road with his length, size, and his feel. There's a lot of fine tuning he needs to do. He needs to, learn how to become a better shooter from the perimeter. There's times where he needs to learn how to make the right reads coming off ball screens, but all that stuff will evolve down the road. And I just think it's very intriguing with what he's able to do, just being who he is and the position that he's playing.
Yeah, I think his, the situation he has himself in playing 17U and kind of challenging himself with that competition. The game's only got to slow down for him, I think. And yeah, he's you can definitely see why people see the upside, and we're definitely going to get to some of the other 2024s that are going to be in contention for that top spot. My last guy on the list, and there's a couple of them. Thatcher McClure was impressive from Texas Legion. Josh Aduje, also from Compass Prep. Adrame's teammate was with Belmont Shore. He looked good. TJ Wainwright was unsigned from Belmont Shore. He looked really good, running an offense. Looked fresh. Runway Jet Sky High had a kid that was fun to watch, Robert Ferrygood. He never stopped moving. He was just kind of a motor guy. He's got good size. Could definitely be helpful for some low majors where I'm watching. I'm like, man, this kid he really doesn't stop moving. So, it was impressive to see how he impacted the game without having to touch the ball. We're going to transition now into my personal favorite player of the weekend. I know others would agree, who are naming the most valuable player of the 16U bracket of the event was Bryson Warren, Mocan Elite's floor general, I'm going to call him. He kind of does a little bit of everything, but his ability to score the ball, look fluid, look comfortable, and he plays at a controlled speed where I feel like he's able to do things at just a little bit quicker speed than the defense is expecting. So I'm going to keep this one kind of an open roundtable because, I know Bryson was a pretty polarizing figure this weekend as far as how he played.
Yeah, what really caught my eye with Bryson was how crafty of a finisher he is around the rim. I know I was talking about earlier about finishing with both hands, and as a guard, that's ideal for any guard. He's spinning it off the backboard, crazy angles that he's taken. Used the floater real well. I also saw, he would come to a jump stop and hit that floater over taller defenders. But man, yeah, MVP goes to Bryson Warren, man. He was incredible.
For sure. And I think the biggest reason why he was deserving of that award is, in a highly anticipated matchup with Mocan and Drive Nation, where you have,
Dude, he showed
you know,
up. Yeah,
Yeah.
he showed up. Yeah,
He
yeah,
drove.
yeah.
I mean, you have 5 nationally ranked players on the floor at the time. You got Omaha, if I might butcher his last name, Billy U or
Yeah,
Ronald Holland,
yeah, yeah.
KJ Lewis, Justin McBride, and he was the one. He was the best player on the floor. He asserted himself in that light. He just made a barrage of jump shots, and everybody knew if you were a spectator at the game, he made this face. Early on in the game where you're like, okay, like, man, I'm finna turn up. And that he did. Made shots from all levels of the floor. And like you said, in a comfortable pace, he kind of reminds me of Houston's Marcus Sasser, just in the way he's able to get off. And when he gets hot, I mean, like, it's something that's fun to watch. So he's one to track, and he's one for college coaches to really get at on June 15th if you're searching for bucket getter for the 2023 class.
Yeah, I mean, he's got long wingspan, broad shoulders, only going to get bigger. But yeah, his ability to really get his own shot too. Every time he got to the point in the third game I watched him, every time he put a shot up, I kind of thought it was going in because each time it looks exactly the same. So, kudos to the MoCan program and the guys that are helping Bryson train right now because he looked like every bit of his ranking, if not better, and the MoCan team, like you said, with playing with Omaha and his teammates got to love playing with him too. They looked like they were having a lot of fun. Next up, kind of go in either order here with our Team Griffin guys. Trey Johnson for Team Griffin. He did a lot of, he's kind of known for the way he can score the ball right now. But just his ability, I think I saw him try some new things, attack the basket in a few different ways. And, his ability to kind of be more physical as a USA basketball and like playing up, right? He's a 2024 playing 16U. I think, he's kind of throwing himself into the fray and had a couple really strong games. Brandon, I know you're pretty familiar with Trey.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely one of my favorites in that class. He's one of the ones that's in the conversation for that top spot. Like I said, it's loaded. With him, the thing that he makes his case with his ability to shoot the basketball, that early skill set, that advanced skill set that he has as a 15U player playing up on 16U. I mean, that's just something special. His length is very intriguing, and it gives him the opportunity to have to finish creatively around the rim. His body control is something that he's definitely been working on in the lab, and I definitely think he has the potential to be a high-level player as he continues to get stronger with the basketball and continues to learn how to get to his spots, in a quicker manner, which he already knows how to get to his spots. But once he just, mastered that aspect of the game, as he gets older, I mean, man, the sky's the limit. I think he's a high-level shooting guard.
Yeah, I really like the leadership that he brought on. So, playing up, he was taking control of that Team Griffin offense, putting guys in the right spots. That's what really stuck out for me, besides the fact that he can really score the basketball.
Yeah, and his two teammates, I think we can touch on that are both first team for Team Griffin were Brandon Garrison and Drew Steffi. Brandon was super consistent throughout the whole weekend. They call him Baby Dwight Howard. He certainly looks the part and showcase, the ability to do some things from a big man that, can't really be taught. Has got soft touch around the rim, got good footwork, good outlet passer. I was impressed with that and getting his guards involved and making an offense go quick. Where, if he gets an offense going quick enough, he can, maybe take a possession off or two because of his ability to inbound the ball and let his guards, operate on the break. So, he played at a super high level. And then Drew Steffi went off on their game against against Drive Nation. I just Freudian slip there. Said Drew Nation. That's might as well what it have been. I think he had 25, scored from all over the floor, which was impressive. And, kind of solidifying himself as obviously more than just a shooter, but, played at a really high level and doesn't really make mistakes. So that's certainly an impressive aspect of his game. Another guy that he played against in that game was Justin McBride. Brandon, Oak Hill product, left Texas for high school, coming back playing him for grassroots. What have you noticed has improved since he went out of state for high school?
Definitely. I mean, I think it's his willingness to play hard. Obviously, when he first got to Oak Hill, he didn't get the playing time that I think everybody thought that he would get, that he would receive, just with the team being so young. So, I mean, it kind of forced him to step up his intensity and play hard, and that's what he's shown in the games. He's all over the glass. He's always loud with his production. He's always and one target. He didn't shoot the ball as well as I've seen him shoot it in the past, but he did make some shots. And he's tracking to be a high major player. He's one that you could fit through offensive structure. Just make some questionable decisions at sometimes, but at the end of the day, he is young and he'll definitely keep getting better as time progresses. So, he was one player that I really liked to watch him play. He's very energetic with the way he plays, and I think spectators can vibe with it.
Yeah, sure. I think Oak Hill's going to get him in optimal shape, playing shape, and kind of figure out what he take advantage of the things he does best on the court. Speaking of big men who impact the game, Omaha Blue, definite first teamer. I think most impactful thing he does, I think, is being able to do. He doesn't need the ball in his hands. Setting screens, he's running up and down the floor, he's disrupting plays, he's diving on the ground. You don't always see that from kind of blue chip recruits, if you will, and he does all the little things. And he's a motor guy that you can see the skill kind of there, being developed and whatnot. His face up jump shot, it didn't look out of place, when he shot it. And I think being able to add that to different parts to his game is going to help. But what he is right now for Mocan is a 6'8", 6'8" nightmare, kind of running up and down the court. And I know you guys are a big fan of Omaha as well, and I think the whole country is going to be familiar with him soon.
Yeah, definitely Omaha. His motor never stops. Like you said, he's setting screens. He's doing all the little things that maybe some of his teammates won't want to do. Like you said, that's not.
It doesn't translate in a highlight mixtape either. It's like you got to see it, right? They should make a mixtape on that if someone's listening. Like, let's see all of Omaha's, scrappy plays and just things you don't see from you don't always see from a player with that, regarded that highly.
Yeah, he was.
I'll tell you what did translate, that lob that he threw to himself off the backboard. That translates to a highlight mixtape.
Of course it does, and you know what? That's something where it was he obviously missed poorly on that jump shot, but the instincts he had to realize, I'm going to miss this. Look where I am, figure out where he is on the court, adjust, fly through midair, catch it, and dunk it while everyone was still responding to it. Those type of plays, it's like, oh, good Lord. It's something special, I think, is going to develop with Mocan there. Now, it's what we're going to say.
No, I was just going to touch on that too. What Brandon said, that just comes with effort too. Like you said, he knew that was going to be a miss. Some guys nowadays, they might not even follow their shot to start running back on defense, but that's all just effort. And he goes up and catches it off the backboard and dunks it for a highlight level play.
Yeah. Yeah. Super, super entertaining player as well. Arguably the most improved, I think, from my standpoint, is Cam Barnes for Team Trae Young. 6'10", 6'11", big man, showed the ability to stretch the floor. Alex, I know both of you, you and I were kind of taken aback by, what we saw from Cam.
Yeah. I saw a tweet a couple days ago when he was playing, compared him to baby KD, and like you said, when he was stretching the floor, sure looked a whole lot like Kevin Durant. He's real long. He's got really long arms, but he displayed that outside game of his that can take his game right to the next level. He's got everything else. He's got the length, he can move well, and now that he's adding those parts to his game, he's going to be close to unstoppable out there, standing at 6'10", 6'11".
Yeah,
it
really just depends on his love for the game, and
his effort level, and he had it this weekend when I watched him. He was his motor was turned on. So I would agree with you there though, Brandon. A couple other guys that I don't want to miss touching on. Chris Lockett was great for Live on Black. That backcourt is phenomenal. Fred Payne back there as well, Sunrise product. The backcourt for Woods Elite, Ryan Forrest, Jaden Forrest, one of the best backcourts in the 16U division for sure. Corey Cox played really well for max levels, was very, very consistent. But a guy I had to touch on was Kyan Evans, backcourt mate of Bryson Warren. I think a lot of people can overlook his impact on the game, but he didn't make mistakes. His ability to finish in traffic was super impressive, and something that I think translates because he was doing it against 6'8", 6'9", 6'10" guys inside where, he's I think only got one offer right now. I know Mocan said, a lot of schools they think are going to be interested in him, but you want to hit on a guy early. Kyan Evans is clearly a great system player, playing huge minutes for Mocan 16s, who we'll have as number 2 in the country in our next poll. So, super impressive performance by Kyan Evans. The last guy we'll touch on for 16s is another guy on Drive Nation, KJ Lewis. Alex, I know you were impressed with his defense.
Yeah, definitely. They had a tough loss to Mocan, but KJ Lewis's effort throughout that whole game, no matter what the score was at the top. He was really, really good on defense. He was moving well laterally. He was getting over screens, communicating with his teammates. On the other end of the floor, I really like his offensive game. He's really aggressive. He doesn't care who's in front of him. He's going to try and get to that rim and get to the line. Good use of his dribble combos to get to his spots and get to the rim. And his jump shot was looking much improved as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll have the list of the other first and second teamers online from the 16U division. We'll get into the 15U division. Might be my favorite team of the tournament. It was Team Fox. They came out, went 4-0. De'Aaron Fox's team from Houston. It's great to see that a startup program like that is having the success it's having. De'Aaron's was a 3-year EYBL vet, so he was a lot of fun to cover back in the day. Great kid, and his team plays hard. They played 3 shoe circuit teams and beat them all. They beat the Knight Riders by quite a bit in the 15U division, which is not an easy task. And the MVP is on the squad, which is Jacoby Osborne. Jacoby was just, really good, really consistent, and really efficient. Had double doubles in all 4 of the games, which is not an easy task. And really he was everywhere. I watched a couple games and I kept coming back to the same guy on the roster sheet where it's like, man, this kid really made an impact. And I know that sometimes you have to take performances at some of these tournaments with a grain of salt, but when they come in and they do that against 3 really good teams with highly regarded prospects, and he makes his presence known like that. He had 14 points, 11 rebounds, 6 blocks, 21 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 13 points, 10 rebounds, 2 steals, 11 points, 13 rebounds, 3 blocks. I mean, he was consistent, efficient, and I think definitely a guy that's boosted his stock a little bit in the 2024 class. Next guy who clearly has clearly is one of the most talented players in the class. I don't think anyone would argue is Liam McNeely. Brandon, I know you're familiar with him. I can say from personally seeing him for the first time live that I think if he projects the way you think he's going to project with his size, he's going to have all the skills needed to be as highly ranked prospect as they come. So what'd you see from Liam and the Drive Nation 15s?
Sure. No, I didn't get a chance to look at him as much as I wanted to. But definitely, the thing that's evident about Liam when you're watching him is just his feel for the game and his ability to shoot the basketball. I mean, he has a pretty shot and he gets others involved and makes them better. Kind of reminds me of Kyle Singer when he was in the high school ranks. I think he was like a consistent top 5 player in the country. Like if Liam lives up to that hype, that's beautiful. I don't want to put that on him, but the thing about him is that he plays the game the right way and he thinks the game at a high level and he projects to be a high major player. And, he definitely puts in the work and he's all about winning. And that was shown in his approach to the game with Drive Nation this weekend. So he's tracking to be a high major player. And he's also one of the ones who's in the conversation for that for the top player in Texas, along with the mirror and track.
For sure. Yeah. He displays a lot of effort when he plays too. That was impressive. He he cares quite a bit about winning. You can kind of tell that about a player when you watch him live, and yeah, a lot of fun to watch. 2025 playing up for Max Levels, Cameron Paul. I watched a couple of their games, and I was like, who? Asked their director, I'm like, Josh Woodson. I'm like, who is that? Like, that kid is, he was felt like he was playing at a different speed than everyone else, and felt like every play he was impacting something. Yeah, Cam Paul, I think he averaged 30 and 10, and yeah, he was kind of the do-it-all guy for the that specific team. Being able to do that, playing up, I think is super impressive. Last guy on our list that we'll discuss, Ja'Kai Howard, Alex, highest rated, at least on paper, 15U player that was in attendance, 2024 class. Take us out, take us through what you saw from Ja'Kai in the time you saw him.
Yeah, so I didn't get to watch Ja'Kai as much as I wanted to when I was there, but when I did, he lived up to the hype. Coming off Norcross this year, playing with them, he's been really working on the fundamentals of his game. He's a freak athlete, jumps really high, and has the length. Stands at about 6'6". But his abilities to get out and transition really impressed me. He plays way above the rim. But like I said, working on his mechanics and such, he shot a couple pull-ups that I liked.
He's been given like the keys to that team where he can work on the things he needs to work on offensively, and he's kind of doing his doing his best to apply what he's working on, in game type situations. And yeah, they he certainly looks the part with his with the size and athleticism. Yeah, rest of the 15U standouts will also be listed online. Last guy I liked was Ethan Lathan from Mocan, really active big man. He projects super well. Just, kind of looks the part, passed the eye test, and had a really strong weekend for Mocan 15. So, yeah, guys, that wraps the, kind of the list of awards that are going to come after each of our events, including the EYBL as well. So, Brandon, I really appreciate you being the first guest on one of these recaps, and look forward to seeing you at the next event for sure.
Oh, for sure. And I just appreciate y'all for just letting me cover a fantastically ran event. I mean, all guys are always high level. Alex, I've been following your work ever since you were with D1 Circuit, and then Alex, it's just a pleasure meeting you over this past weekend. Big things ahead for the season ticket and the circuit.
Appreciate it, man. Take care. Have a good night.